So yesterday on my YouTube page, because TikTok didn't actually release this video that I made, I was talking about this Pew Research article that was talking about fewer young men are in college, especially four-year schools. There has been a drop in college enrollments, and the majority of that drop is coming from young men, specifically young men straight out of high school that are going to college. So when I was talking about it, I was talking about there is something going on at the high school level, probably even before the high school level, that's leading to boys not wanting to go to college. Okay, so that led to some discussion, and I get it that college is not for everybody. What I don't get is why some people are so antagonistic when it talks to getting higher education. Let me talk about some of these comments. There is no point in going to college, though. The degrees don't mean anything. You are getting into so much debt for nothing. You can literally teach yourself what the teachers teach you. So the reasons why some people go to college, I'll just use myself as an example. I was born and raised in a small town in a red state, and I saw education as an escape route. And I can also see how some Black girls are using college as an escape valve, especially if they live in urban centers or in extreme poverty and they're just looking to get away. Currently, there is a shift in politics that are going on, and I absolutely believe that girls would use education in college as a route to get out. So when people say stuff like there is no point in going to college, that might be true for that person, but this is where what we value is specific to that person. And I don't understand why some people cannot gather into their head that what is valuable to you may not be what's valuable to the next person. Then De Garcia is continuing with being antagonistic to people that value college. The fact that you guys don't see that the majority of college degrees are worthless tells me that you choose to ignore these facts, or that you went to a college for a useless degree and now are mad at me for telling you that you wasted your life. Don't get mad at me because you lost at life. That's not my problem. This is where people lack in understanding on what is an opinion versus a fact. Now, me, I was a stay at home mom that wasn't really generating income for many years, but I do have a college education with an MBA. Now, even though for a little while I wasn't actually using that, there are still many facets of life that I was still using my degree in, like researching different things for my social media, like being able to teach my children because we're a homeschooling family. Um, Now, some of the things that I did learn, despite the fact that my undergrad is in business with a major in accounting, some of the things that I was able to learn in school were in my African American and African studies classes and my women's studies classes, because history lessons in Oklahoma didn't really go into these subjects in depth. And it didn't really give me the fuller experience of what Black people and women and the global African community and women went through. So this is valuable to me. Now, what may be valuable to me won't necessarily be valuable to that person. And that's another reason, y'all, why you do not have to go back and forth with these people who want to disparage your decisions simply because their opinions differ than yours. This person is being extra antagonistic for whatever reason, because he or she, because who knows if this is even a woman, he or she feels strongly that college education is worthless. And that could be his or her opinion. Let that person have that opinion and don't go back and forth with these people. Now let's meet Marissa. I will say this, just because a person has a female sounding name does not necessarily mean that it's a woman behind that name, because men are the ones that are typically antagonistic towards education. So just keep that in mind. I'm just going to say he or she, but I really don't know. Okay, so Marissa says, number one, there was nothing ignorant about what the OP said, as in the last person I was just talking about. It's not an ignorant mindset or mentality, nor a poverty mindset, nor an asinine one. She says, number two, you can learn things in actual life, the real world, that you won't learn in school, like most stuff in life. Schools never teach anything that pertains to actual life. Schools don't teach about finances, financial literacy, credit. They don't teach about entry level job positions. The list goes on. There's people you can connect with in the real world that won't happen in a school setting. Number one, if you didn't go to school, how do you know what they are teaching in college and what a person can learn? Because I will use myself as an example because I actually did go to college. I learned how to juggle things in real life because you learn things simply by living. I went off to college. I had to learn to get a job, balance my budget, understand that I have to go to bed at a certain time so I can wake up at a certain time, learn how to balance my time management skills. You absolutely learn how to research, how to connect with people, and some things that you learn in school in a different setting, especially a different city or state. You learn about different cultures. There's such a multitude of things that you learn that these people would not know because they didn't go. So it's like listening to somebody who didn't go to college. There's no value in that because that's like me acting like I can tell you what you're going to learn as a plumber or a firefighter or a police officer training. I don't know because I didn't go to any of those things. So it would behoove you to not waste your time or free data going back and forth with these types of people. Something else that you learn in college, there are all kinds of organizations depending on where you go to school. There are alumni organizations that connect you with jobs. There are different kind of organizations that teach you what to wear for interviews, where you can network to role play how to handle an interview. There's so much that you learn and you can connect with, and the people that you can connect with, and just having those connections. Think about, you now have a friend that, because after you go to college, you might go to a different state. Now you have an alumni friend that's over in this state. So there's so much, that so many intangibles that you get when you go to college. Number three, getting an education past high school is in no way, shape, or form a reflection of self-discipline, intelligence, and earning potential. I've met plenty of dumbass incompetent college graduates, just like I met plenty of smart high school GED graduates. Getting a college degree doesn't show self-discipline. That's I mean, there's going to be mediocre people in any kind of situation, in any group. There's going to be smart people in any group. This is not a good reason to not go to college. If you want to go to college, if that is your passion, if there's some place that you just want to see, absolutely don't let somebody who didn't go to college dissuade you because there are other mediocre people. But you do learn self-discipline if you learn, I have to go to bed at X time in order to wake up at this time. Or I have a paper due on this date. So I need to do a little bit of my research leading up to that point. You do get intelligence. Flexing your brain muscle by studying things and learning the process of research and how to maintain your grades and testing and all of that. Flexing your muscle is how you build up your brain intelligence. And so you're going to do all of that simply by going to school, reading your books, talking to other people, getting hands on experience, all of that. So don't let this person dissuade you. This person's number four. People without college degrees seem to be earning more throughout their lifetime than their counterparts, and no, they don't die earlier than those without a degree. Than those with a degree. There's people that have literally unalived themselves due to school struggles and financial hardship. There's actually things that you can Google and research where the numbers do say that you do earn more over your lifetime. And the people that get into the habit of constant learning and lifetime learning, these are the people that appreciate what you can get from an education. I thoroughly enjoyed going to college. I am now a mom, and my children, if they choose to go into college or if they choose to go into a trade, I will support them. But it is invaluable for me. I got a lot from college, and I certainly, even if I don't use what I learned in college day to day, there are different tools and things and concepts that I do still use, even though it's 20 years later. And there literally has been literature and data that says that people with just a high school diploma do die sooner. That's something that you can Google as well. Number five, here's a thought. Wealthy people send their kids to college, and half of those people end up dropping out. Why do you think that is? There could be a multitude of reasons. They could be mediocre. Maybe college wasn't for them. Maybe they weren't prepared. Maybe their parents didn't listen to them and what they wanted to do in life. This is the reason why you know your children, you know what you want to do as a person, and you work with your parents to figure out what you want to do. In my household, I have a college degree, my husband has a trade. It's perfectly fine, and neither one of us have to disparage the other, because when we were a teenager or in our 20s, we had different likes and different paths to take. So there's no reason to actually disparage people simply because you didn't value that type of thing. So what I will end with is, it's perfectly fine to want a trade. It's perfectly fine to want an education. It's perfectly fine to work on getting an internship somewhere straight out of high school. Whatever, create something. Who knows? There are tons of opportunities, but there is no reason to disparage somebody's path simply because you didn't take the same path. Y'all go ahead and jump in the comments and let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, in our society, we absolutely need people that are tradespeople. And so this is where what you do after high school, a lot of this stuff needs to be cultivated at the school level. This is where parents really need to be talking to their children and pushing them into things that they really, really enjoy, so that it is a lot easier to help them along towards the path that they want to be on. I know back in the day when I was in school, we did have home ec where you learned how to bake, and there was wood shop, and there was VOTEC where kids could leave after a half day of school and then go learn a technical skill. But there are so many things that have been X'd out of the curriculum that kids these days don't really get. But I absolutely don't devalue trades and edify college education. I am a college educated person, but I see the value in all of the different things, especially since we're a society where we need certain things. Now, someone was talking about trades, and we should absolutely talk about this. Degrees of separation. As college enrollment drops, trade school signups rise. And these are absolutely necessary because, as we have talked about before, a lot of these trades are being occupied by boomer men or older Gen X men. And as they retire, many of these trades will need people to fill in. And there is a gap where these young men or women that go into trades need to be under somebody who is a master of that craft so they can learn the ins and outs. Okay, so for this article, those America is short on skilled labor alarm bells have been going off for years now. There are active shortages of 500,000 construction workers, 600,000 auto technicians, and 800,000 manufacturing jobs. Plus, there's a scarcity of carpenters. But we're now seeing an encouraging sign that those bells may be answered and then perhaps tuned up and served some dinner. Recent enrollment data from the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center shows trade school interest is on the up and up, with double-digit increases in many vocational programs, including mechanic, repair, construction, and culinary courses. That's quite unlike 2 and 4 year college enrollment, which is down 7.8% and 3.4% respectively for public programs. Mindsets are shifting. These numbers partially represent a pandemic rebound as hands-on fields strained to offer hands-on training. Enrollment in the trades dropped, but that's not the entire story. Young people are choosing trade schools over degree programs because, well, it's just more financially practical at this point. The Washington State Auditor found that public universities are around 2 times more and private schools around 10 times more expensive than technical education. But mostly it's about what happens after, the promise of actually having a job. Federal data shows trade school students are more likely to be employed after school than their high paying university counterparts, and much more likely to work in their fields of study too. Those trade jobs are hardly paying beans. Per Georgetown University's Good Jobs Project, there are among 30 million jobs paying 55,000 per year that don't require a 4-year degree. Need more perks? Well, we assume that 50,000 workers in the U.S. Navy is currently seeking to build its nuclear submarines and will all be hired as consultants on the future Michael Bay film. Okay, so that's just a little aside there at the bottom. There, like I said, there is literally nothing wrong with going to trade school and doing what you want. Some people are better with their hands. Some people are better with creativity type of things. Maybe they want to do art. Maybe they want to, work outside, be amongst the elements. People have got to just do what they want. And then, because you do save money by doing what you want because you take the path that makes the most sense. You get directly there versus doing something because your parents said and then failing out because you don't really want to do it. And this is where parents have got to just stop pushing their kids into doing something simply because they want them to. You do still have to have a degree of education in order to do these trades and vocational things because you do need to learn measurements and skills and all of that. So it's not just that, it's mind numbing or whatever. Anyways, so keep that in. Also, the future is STEM, but without enough students, the US will be left behind. We also need to be talking about this because we need to be constantly innovating, but there is issues because we're not pushing out enough students. America has a supply problem that starts in elementary school. With the NEED Act, Congress has a chance to help turn this around. In 2022, the National Science Foundation's Science and Engineering report sounded an alarm. The report showed that the United States is falling behind in science, technology, engineering, and math, the STEM fields. According to the foundation, America no longer produces the most science and engineering research publications. That's China. We no longer produce the most patents. That's China. Now that we no longer have graduate the most natural science PhDs, that's also China. These trends are unlikely to change anytime soon. The problem isn't that the US lacks the universities to train future scientists or an economy capable of encouraging innovation. Rather, the problem originates much earlier in the supply chain. It starts in our elementary schools and secondary schools. In 2019, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, the nation's report card, presented evidence that American students are struggling in the sciences. Over a quarter of fourth graders earned a score below basic. By 12th grade, that proportion grows to over 40%. A similar pattern is evident in NAEP math scores. Indeed, recent test scores for math show declining scores and an increasing percentage of students below basic. While overall patterns are discouraging, the percentage of Black and Hispanic students falling below basic in science and math is even higher. Congress has a chance to help turn this around by passing the New Essential Education Discoveries Act. This groundbreaking legislation aims to establish the National Center for Advanced Development in Education. Within the Institute of Education Science, a center would be modeled after the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. NCAID would bring promising practices directly into classrooms, leveraging the extensive research investments made by the Institute over the past 2 decades. This is essential because the nation does something radical to transform education, sciences, research, and translate the basic research in which the Institute has traditionally invested into applied, practical, and scalable products and interventions. The already eroding U.S. lead in STEM will fade even further. And this is not just a problem in schools with tests. Educational outcomes affect just about every aspect of American lives, including national security. A recent Aspen Strategy Group report concludes that the U.S. needs the national security community to weigh in on education as a national security priority. We need STEM. And we are having an issue in education. We have talked about this. We have teacher burnout. And with teacher burnout, that means that we're not going to get students getting quality work. There is a grappling need for us to come together and create stuff. This does not mean disparaging one thing over another. It means that teachers, parents, communities, different organizations have to weigh in and have some best practices to funnel the people into the pipeline that best suits what they want to do. So I'm going to leave it at that. There are people that are out here thinking about strategies, and we've got to stop being so antagonistic for one thing versus the other and just think that we can do the both and. Go ahead and weigh in.